Modern Ferrari prices are still falling from the market top and are in some cases 30% lower than 2 years ago. There aren't even any major bottoming signs present in the price trends for the modern models, but they do exist for the older ones. In this video we'll dissect the Ferrari market by looking at the latest price developments and compare them to the rest of the market to answer the question if the modern Ferrari market is doomed. Let's start by looking at the situation in the modern Ferrari market. We start with the fastest depreciating model, the SF90. We can see that prices fell quickly since the introduction and are now 30% below the market top. During last year alone, prices fell by 15.4% or $112,000, pushing the median price down to $617,500. Luckily for owners though, the depreciation rate started to fall slightly during last year. Continuing with the F8 Tributo, we can see that prices are falling less quickly, but in a stable way. Spiders are 19.3% cheaper than they were at their peak, and for coupes this is 14.8%. The Spiders sit now at $459,900, and this is 8% or $40,000 lower than 1 year ago. For a coupe you need to bring $374,900, and this is 9.7% or $40,000 less than 1 year ago. Looking at the shape of the trends, we can see that Spiders are depreciating slightly less quickly than during the initial decline, but the short-term time frame shows that prices are decreasing linearly. I purposefully skipped the 296s because we don't have so much data yet, but based on the data that we have, depreciation appears to be high. A quick comparison between the F8 and 296 shows that 296 coupes fell below F8 Spiders. Values came down by 7.1% in the last 3 months. This is an extremely high number for such a short time period, but please bear in mind that we need more data to get a reliable estimate. Now all of the numbers in this video apply to the US market. Later in 2024 I will also include the German market. Also over there the market dynamics are interesting. 296 coupes are for example priced in the same range as F8 coupes. But let's crack on with the US market. If we continue with the 488 market, we can see a boom and bust pattern that is similar to the F8 market. Compared to the market top, coupes declined by 14% and Spiders by 17.3%. This brought values down to $254,000 and $289,400 respectively, meaning that they are 7.4% and 8.1% lower than 1 year ago. The price trend in the coupe market seems to have flattened slightly, but prices are still falling linearly in the Spider market. Now so far we saw that prices for modern Ferraris decreased a lot and that prices are still falling quickly. The rates are slightly lower than during the second half of 2022, in which the complete market decreased with above average rates, but are mostly still falling linearly. On average, the modern mid-engine Ferraris are down by 9.7%. Excluding the SF90 it's 8.3%. But make no mistake, prices are also falling for some older, naturally aspirated cars. But the market dynamics are different over there. Let me show you. 458 values for example were flying during the pandemic, but decreased a lot in the second half of 2022. This part is similar to the modern Ferrari models like the 488 and F8. However, look what happened during the second half of 2023. The trend is flattening again. Spiders lost 2.9% and coupes 3.8%. This didn't happen in the previously discussed markets. Now this also means that prices before inflation correction are still far above their pre-pandemic level. They did not correct all the way down like we can observe in some other markets. Even after this correction, they're still above pre-pandemic price levels. Now the more we go back in time, the lower the correction from the market top and the more stable the price trends. If we look at the development of F430 prices, we can see an increase during the pandemic, a big slowdown up until the summer of 2023, and a small decrease in the second half of 2023. Values are down by 4.4% compared to last year, and this amounts to $6,700. The short-term decrease is much smaller than for the turbocharged models, and the same applies to the 360. Looking at the trend for the automatic 360s, we can see that values have been basically flat since mid-2022. The market is relatively small, so we can see some volatility and increased uncertainty, but overall prices remained approximately at the same level. Compared to last year, prices are down by 0.9% or approximately $1,000. But this price change is not statistically confirmed. meaning that it could be the result of chance. Also, the F355 Spider market is holding up relatively well. Prices increased slightly since the end of 2021. The market is quite small, so there's a relatively high uncertainty level in this price trend. That's also why I excluded the coupes and the Targas. Compared to last year, we're looking at minus 0.7%, but also this change isn't statistically confirmed, meaning that it could be the result of chance. Now, as you saw from the numbers, there are some differences in depreciation in the mid-engine Ferrari market. We can see now that most turbocharged models lost considerably more than the older naturally aspirated ones. The average difference is 7.3 percentage points. Moreover, there appear to be 4 groups. So let's put all of the numbers in one graph and compare the models to each other. 360s and F355s lost approximately the same, and so did the F430 and 458, and the F8 and 488s. The SF90 is an outlier and forms its own group. With a loss of 15.4% during last year, it depreciated almost twice as quick as an F8. So is the modern Ferrari market doomed? We cannot answer that yet. The old models lost more than the new models, but that's not a surprise. It would be strange if it would be the other way around. So what happens when we compare the rates to the rest of the market? Well, initially not so much. Over here we have the US year-over-year price changes for almost all cars that feature on my channel. On the horizontal axis we have the price change compared to last year in percentages, and on the vertical axis we have the number of cars to which this change applies. The median decrease during last year was 7.4%, and most cars lost between 3 and 13%. Now, with an average decrease of 6.1%, the Ferrari market did better than the average. This doesn't look like a doom scenario, right? But we need to be a bit more granular and tailor the comparison. It's clear that the oldest cars did very well. F355s, 360s and F430s fall in the top 25% of cars that lost the least, while the 458 just misses out with an average rate of 3.3%. But the newer cars, so the 488, F8 and SF90, fall on the left-hand side compared to the average. Combined, they decreased by an average rate of 9.7%. But of course, new cars tend to fall on the left-hand side of the average. So let's make it more specific and compare the rates to other mid-engine models. Over here we have now the price changes during last year for the Ferraris and a few other models. Not all models are included, but I think it gives a decent estimate of what's happening. If we look at the F8 and 488, we can see that the value loss is fairly in line with the rest of the market. F8s lost the same as Lamborghini Evos, 765 LTs, NSXs and 600 LTs. 488s in turn sit in the same area as the 720S, 570S and R8 V10. All of these cars lost between 7.5 and 9.5%. So, are the turbocharged F8s and 488s doomed? Objectively not. Values decreased at the same rate as they did in the rest of the market. Yet, if you were expecting values to decrease less quickly than the rest of the market, you might be a little bit disappointed. 720Ss and McLarens in general are, for example, notorious for their high depreciation. But we can see that most models are currently dropping at the same rate as the 488 and F8. The SF90 though is a special case. We can see that the value decrease is most similar to what's happening in the MC20 market. Prices are plummeting over there, and I think it's fair to say that most people were expecting these kind of rates. I don't think many expected these high values in the SF90 market. In terms of pricing, the 765 LT comes close to the SF90, but the depreciation rates in the 765 LT market are much lower. None of these cars are comparable to an SF90. It sits in a unique space. Hypercar-like performance without a hypercar price tag. Yet, also the depreciation rate sits in a fairly unique space. Let's wrap up. Is the modern Ferrari market doomed? It cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. The turbocharged models without electrical assistance, so the 488 and F8, are currently dropping at the same rate as other mid-engine models. We therefore cannot state that these markets are doomed. However, it might be a bit surprising if you were expecting that these two Ferrari models would depreciate less quickly than the rest. The answer changes for the SF90 and the 296. I don't think we have sufficient data to say that these markets are doomed when it comes to values, but things don't look good at all. I'm leaning more towards yes than towards no. So if I was a value conscious buyer, I would think twice before making these purchases. The SF90 is a fairly unique car, which makes it difficult to compare to other models, but we can say that the depreciation rate is high. It's higher than the market average and higher than for other mid-engine models. Moreover, it's close to the rate in the MC20 market, a market known for its excessive depreciation. Data for the 296 is still accumulating, but a drop of 7.1% during the last 3 months doesn't look good. It would amount to a loss of approximately 25% in the first year. Subscribers might recognize this number. The SF90 namely lost 23.4% in its first year. The hybrid technology is the common denominator here, but is it driving the high rates? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. You see, these kind of loss rates in the first year are usually reserved for markets that are known for their excessive depreciation rates. Think about the Aston Martin and Maserati markets. It's on the high side for a mid-engine Ferrari. But if that's relevant to you, only you can decide. I'm just here to provide you with the data. And with that we arrive at the end of the video. Now I only covered the mid-engine models because the front-engine models are covered in separate videos. But I'll put the links to those videos down below in the video description. So be sure to check them out. If you would like to see a market analysis for a different car, I recommend that you head over to my channel. Over there you'll find data-driven market updates for a large variety of cars. Can't find the car you're looking for? Let me know the name of the car by commenting it down below in the comment section. Once there are enough requests for a certain car, I'll make a video about it. As always, thank you for watching and I hope to see you next week for a new video.